once again, not a lot of us have gone through, but if you have gone through something like this, this is going to help.
Hello, my name is Kaylas if you don't know me. I just feel so blessed to be at this church. It's such a wonderful blessing. They've taken me in, and it's meant a lot to me to be able to be up here and worship during a lot of the hard times I've been facing. Just take a minute. So I accepted Jesus in first grade. My teacher's name was Mrs. Platt, and I was sitting at the piano. And I don't even think I came home and told my mom. I don't know how she found out, but that's how my Jesus walk started. And it was, you know, when you're in first grade, you think, oh, I went to a Christian school. It's just something you do. You accept Jesus in your heart. And I love God. I love God my whole life. And my mom would bring us up singing songs and praises to Jesus. And I also had such a strong foundation because we went to Bible school, we went to Christian school, and it was just, I did have a great childhood, but, you know, nothing in life is ever perfect, and every family has their own thing going on. Every person has something big going on. So in my family, we had my father. He was never really there. You know, my friends would come over, they'd be like, why is your dad sleeping on the couch? And I would say, oh, you know, he's tired. Like, I'm a little kid, you sleep when you're tired. But that wasn't it. Mental illness is real, and it destroys. It destroyed my family. And you know, people that hurt people have been hurt the worst. And it's really hard to remember that when you're going through everything. But before I tell you some of the nitty-gritty, I just want to give you a verse that I've had to keep in my mind growing up, because Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. And you know, life is really hard, and going through things, that there is good in everything, and God is in all things, and I've learned that the most, that He's been my protector, and He's brought good things out of the horrible things. So after my grandpa died, my brother, in 2015, he found my grandpa underneath a tractor. My grandpa had a tractor incident. The tractor flipped on him, and it pretty much smashed his face in. And my brother Matthew, he's my twin brother. We didn't really get along that well, to be honest. I was always the little white sheep, and my brother and sister were the little black sheep doing their own thing. But he found my grandpa, and then I don't know what happened from there. You know, people all have their own struggles, but if you don't say anything, how will we know to help you? He ended up committing suicide in 2015. He hung himself in our backyard. And that day, we were in Grand Rapids to celebrate my mom's birthday, and we couldn't find him in the morning, and we thought, oh, you know, he's probably just looking off somewhere. Sometimes he would just, we had a lot of property, and my grandma's house was next door, we didn't know. And my mom told me to go look for him, and she looked for him, and we looked everywhere, and we couldn't find him. And we ended up leaving because you do have to set boundaries with teenagers, no matter how hard it is. But then my aunt and uncle ended up coming up to Grand Rapids, and we were like, why are you coming up here? And they wouldn't tell us, and they got out of the car with tears in their eyes, and we were just thinking, oh, you know, maybe it's my grandpa, maybe he died, he was in his 80s, it was around that time, and they're like, no, it's Maddie. And that hour ride back home was like the longest thing ever. it was really hard, and during that time, I remember I had my iPod and I just listened to worship music because that's all I could think to do. It's always been my go-to. It was really hard from there. My brother was really popular. He had a lot of friends, but you learn really fast who really cared. It's been a couple of years now, and some people just seem to have forgotten. And it never really gets better. Even when time goes by, you might not think about it as often, but then other times it'll come crashing in on you on a certain day. But I've lost a lot in my life, and I wasn't abused physically that I can never remember. But I mean, growing up with my dad, he just couldn't control himself, and it's been a really rough thing because with mental illness, you never know what they're thinking. But I definitely struggle with wondering, like, why does my dad not choose me? Why does he choose drugs? Why does he choose alcohol? Why does he choose this? Why does he have this girlfriend when I'm right here and we're right here? So it hurts a lot, but I couldn't have done it without Jesus because he's my Heavenly Father, and I grew up with that truth. I just have a couple other verses. I remember when I was little, I had this, I don't even know how I got this poster. Things just happen to show up in my room all the time. It's kind of a dumb spot because it wasn't that clean. I believe it. It said, "There's beauty in the ashes," and it was a pretty poster. I had pictures on it, so I was like, sure, I'll hang this up. But I never really understood what it meant until I went through all of this. And I just want to read Isaiah 61, 1-3 for you. "The Spirit of the Sovereign Lord is on me, because the Lord has anointed me to proclaim good news to the poor. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim freedom for the captives, and release from darkness for the prisoners, to proclaim the year of the Lord's favor and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all who mourn and provide for those who grieve in Zion, to bestow on them a crown of beauty instead of ashes, the oil of joy instead of mourning, and a garment of praise instead of a spirit of despair. They will be called oaks of righteousness, a planting of the Lord for the display of his splendor." And this verse has been such a stronghold for me because even though there's so much pain and so much death, like, there is beauty in the ashes. I got to grow closer to my sister. I got more into my music. I get to worship Jesus every Sunday, and there's still so much beauty in this world. So I know whatever you're going through, it may seem like it's the end of the world and there's no hope. But out of all of this, I've gotten to share my story with people, and I don't know if it's helped or not, but I mean, that's all I can do as a child of God. And there's also one other thing, like going through grieving, there's this little phrase that people like to say, you know, there's a peace that passes all understanding. And I just want to point out that is so true. There's actually the verse that I found is Philippians 4:7, "And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And I just think that people say there's a peace that passes all understanding, but we really need to look at the second part of the verse too. That God will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. And even though I've been through a lot, I've experienced a lot, I've gone through a lot of hardships, God has guarded my heart from so many things. Like, there's no reason I should be up here today with everything that's happened, but he has been my stronghold. He's given me a wonderful family and a wonderful support system in this church, and I'm just so thankful for God, and I know he's real. So I just want to let you know that even if you're feeling like there's no hope, like, God has a purpose for your life. There's a purpose for everyone's life. You're made in his image, and he loves you, and so do I. And I know there's other people out there that love you too, so don't ever feel like you're alone, because I feel like this world is such a lonely place. But it's not. It's supposed to be a place of love and mercy and kindness. And that's all I have.